day, and our participants are so excited. They are thrilled and they can't wait to present what they've been doing these past 2 weeks. Thank you very much to our professors who are currently here, Professor Bastian, Professor Nathan. It's so good to have you on board this morning. I don't know what time it is over there, but here it's morning and we are saying good morning from this end. All right, so in the house we have participants and then we have a Professor Dr. Timothy Ekwere, who is going to anchor the presentation. So we're just going to get right into it. Professor Timothy Ekwere is a consultant hematologist with the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital and is also with the University of Uyo. Please can we celebrate Dr. Timothy Ekwere as a time to begin the presentation session.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm doing. First of all, I congratulate all the participants in this program. It's been a very tedious.
Okay. We can be free. So just pushing back, or can you stand flexibly? We don't have to.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're okay like this.
Yes.
So once again, I congratulate all of you for coming this far and for being steadfast and focused this past 2 weeks. A program like this, usually after the first few days, participants tend to lose focus and get fatigued and workshop fatigue, but you guys have done very well. Also, to congratulate all the faculty members for doing a wonderful job. All the presentations were well thought out and presented well. So I congratulate all of you once again. This is one of the high points of this workshop as it were. And I think we have 3 groups who are going to talk to us about their projects, which they have studiously put together. So without much ado, let's welcome the first group. We shall be having 15 minutes presentation by the group leader. The group will have to choose who is going to do the presentation. And then, of course, after that, we'll have 10 minutes interaction, including our colleagues online who may have any questions to ask the participants in each group, including participants in other groups. They are also free to interact. So at this juncture, let me call the first group, who I believe are ready with their presentation. Can you? Yeah, you too.
In first group.
Good morning, my professors here present who are going to be looking at our work with us today. Good morning, my fellow participants, both physical and virtual. My name is Bianca, and I am standing here with my colleague, Fencing, We are the physical participants representing Research Group 1. My other colleagues are Tolumabe and Temitope, and they are here virtually. We will be discussing our paper that is titled Gender Visibility on Wikipedia, a computational corpus analysis of Nigerian women scientists and science educators. I do believe that we are very familiar with issues surrounding gender as it concerns all of us, whether we are talking about Wikipedia or any form of social media, whether we are talking about researchers or science educators or those in STEM. So we are already familiar with what gender bias is, and Nigeria, as our country, has extensive documentation regarding gender gaps in STEM participation, including enrollment rates, including stereotypic reactions, and even limited engagement of women in research and teaching roles at tertiary institutions and STEM, as it were. And Wikipedia, being a very large compendium of information, exhibits both gendered and geographic representational bias. So women scientists are very less likely to have biographies, and existing ones tend to be shorter and less developed than those of their male counterparts. So Nigerian women scientists and science educators, next slide, face a compounded disadvantage. So we are facing issues when it concerns gender and even geography, as it concerns Wikipedia. There is no existing study, as at this moment, that examines this critical point with this particular population. So it has left a very significant gap in the digital knowledge equity literature. If Professor Nathan will remember, when he presented his paper, it was one of the questions that I put across to him. Yes, it kind of informed this research, sir. So thank you. We have 4 objectives, an overall aim, which is to determine how Wikipedia representation of Nigerian scientists differ by gender, and then to develop actionable editing guidance that will address these identified disparities in digital visibility. There are 4 objectives. We are starting with building a Wikipedia corpus of Nigerian women scientists and educators. We'll be benchmarking it against independent external rosters like ORG-ID, OpenAlex, and the likes. We also will be looking at analyzing gender as a predictor for Wikipedia presence. We'll also apply corpus linguistic techniques to identify framing differences by gender. And then finally, we hope to translate these findings into recommendations for Wikipedia editing initiatives targeting Nigerian women. We have 3 research questions. Do I continue? Okay. 3 research questions that will guide this study. They are there on the screen. How does gender predict the presence and development of the Wikipedia biography? We'll be looking at the linguistic patterns and then the implications for Wikipedia editing targeting Nigerian women population. The methodology section, in a cross-sectional corpus-based mixed methods design, we will use external benchmark rosters from OpenAlex, ORG-ID, and Nigerian University Staff Directories, possibly. We also have a matched male comparison group, and all this will be done in 3 linked data layers: Wikipedia article text, coverage metadata, and Wikidata/Wiki project categories. This study is significant, as you can agree with us. It is unique because we are now looking at a particular niche that many other articles haven't really looked into. So we're going to be filling a critical gap because we'll be looking at that point between gender and geographic bias on Wikipedia for Nigerian women scientists and science educators. So we are going to be providing empirical evidence with Nigeria, it's a Nigerian specific evidence base, which we hope will inform Wikipedia editing initiatives so that, well, we will get a better representation as Nigerian women, notable professions, and as women when it comes to gender. And then hopefully this is going to support broader efforts to advance gender equity in digital knowledge representation and open access scholarship. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay. No. All right, brilliant presentation. I must tell you by members of Group 1. We kept the time. The presentation was precise and straight to the point. And then, of course, the social implications are reaching if done successfully. So this time for questions, contribution to make the work better. So do we have? Sorry. Okay, Professor Tunde Okpai Davis, sir, could you chip in 1 or 2 words concerning this presentation? Prof, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, great scholars, thank you so much for this wonderful summer institute. If you allow me, I'm sorry I joined a bit late. She was almost concluding her presentation when I came in, but I have my review ready. Maybe after all the presentations, I'll be able to give my feedback. Thank you. I think that's better.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you, Prof.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Can we hear from Professor
Bastian?
Okay, Professor Bastian.
He's online.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof. Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you listening to the presentation. Can you comment any suggestion of how to improve the work?
I think like it's a very timely and interesting one. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, the dogs are out in the yard. I had one question about the matching you plan to do, and I guess my question is between male and female researchers for your study, and how you plan on getting the data for like making the matching, which seems potentially quite tricky to do. Do you have a particular database in mind or any like resource for that?
Thank you, sir. So, okay. Thank you, Professor Bastian, for your question. So if I got you clearly, just to be clear, you are asking how we are going to get the data. Is that correct?
Yes, in particular for the matching of people, or like for your study to make a matched comparison between male and female researchers with respect to discipline, academic rank, and career age.
Okay, so first of all, we have said we are going to be looking at triangulating 3 different software, 3 different directories. We're going to be getting data from OpenAlex, from OpID, and then from Wikidata. So again, Professor Nathan was very very kind enough to provide us with a link to a study that he did that has the data that is going to even help us when it comes to matched case inference. So Professor Nathan, thank you for that. So we are looking into that data. We're going to use his kindness and then come up with all we need. And if we need more help, we will reach out. Tolulope, you're here. Do you have anything to add to this response?
Okay, Tolulope, you can go ahead if you have any comments as a member of the group.
Okay, just like Dr. Bianca. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Just like Dr. Bianca said, we are triangulating, and she had made reference to the source of our data. We'll be going through that route, and thanks to the help of Professor Nathan as well, his contribution was very significant and helpful. So we're using those methods, especially Wikidata, through the routes she had mentioned to harvest our data. So I think with that, we should be able to span through and about with a robust data for the study. So I'm pretty sure the data access is not a problem at all. Thank you, sir.
All right. I have a question, or more like a clarification, if you permit me. Are you looking at
Okay.
female in the academia, or just female professionals generally, so that we know what your project is designed at? Those in the academics or just female in STEM? Because I heard you mention STEM several. There are female in STEM in other industries. What is the focus here?
Okay, thank you. So the population is Nigerian female scientists. Now, when we mention scientists, like you said, all of them in STEM related areas. And then we also brought in Nigerian female science educators, that is female lecturers in tertiary institutions. We deliberately removed those in secondary, primary, nursery, because Wikipedia and all these other data sources that we want to use do not, they almost always do not include them in their notability criteria. So if we add them, we'll be having some kind of maybe a near total absence of data regarding them, which is going to lead us into having exclusion that is not necessarily hinged on gender bias.
All right, thank you. Professor Nathan, do you have anything to add? Professor Nathan?
Thank you for sharing. It was really great to see the presentation version of this, and I got the preview of your written proposal. I really love this project. I mean, I love all the projects that I got to see. I think at this stage, I've mostly written the feedback, but I wanted to share notes. I was on the phone yesterday with Dr. Francesca Tripodi, who's done work on research on like gender and Wikipedia editing. And she got very excited to hear about your project and said that if you have any questions, she would be very happy to receive an email from the group. And so that's one note. And the other thing, I think I wrote in the email that, for us, when we've done research of this kind, one of the biggest parts of work has been to actually match and confirm that if you're working from the OpenAlex database, which is great, or if you have a list of people from, Nigerian institutions, you might have 2 or 3 people with the same name and you're not sure which is the Wikipedia page, or maybe, there's someone who, there's a false match. We have some code and process we've created to identify those matches in a reliable way. It still takes a lot of work to manually confirm, but I talked to the engineer on the team who developed that process, and he said he's more than happy to share his code with you if that's useful in any way. So those just 2 notes I wanted to share, and I'm very interested to see what comes of this project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Uncle Constantine, can I come in now just to just say something?
Okay, Prof. Prof.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Again, let me commend them for that ambitious project. Very original and novel, well argued. Well, they identify Wikipedia bioliterature has never looked at Nigeria, and Nigerian STEM literature has never looked at Wikipedia. The intersection is a real gap. They've identified that, which we must commend them. They cited Alpha Response and Iyengar 2026. That gives them some theoretical grounding. The contingency plan is also nice. Okay. And then they've also identified some of the skills they've acquired and they are deploying. But let me just say a few things about the gap that I think they must look at to enhance the quality of the work. Now, let me ask them as clearly or specifically which pieces are being built and run during this summer school, and which are the ones you want to do after the institute. Okay, that's number one. Number two, they flag the risk of about 100 plus biography, but they don't estimate how many Nigerian women scientists are likely findable via Open Alex or ORCID, cross-reference with university directories. I think you need to take note of that. Given how thin Nigerian academic staff directory data usually is online, okay, this could be a bit, you need to look at that and see how do you harvest information from other sources. Wikipedia, all this one can help you to actually shore up, the number of women you are looking at and be able to compare them. I think somebody mentioned discipline-specific women as well. We don't know whether you have considered that. Okay. Then again, take note of this. There's a missing ethic note. No mention of how you will handle the human subject dimension. Human subject dimension. These days, ethical issues have become very important. Okay. Data availability. I'm not sure there's any statement on how you are going to make the work reproducible. Okay. Which is part of what SICSS is all about. Open source, how people can have access to that. Okay. Then finally, it's stated as research question, but the methodology must be clearly defined properly. Okay. Are you for the coverage must directly address your research question in a more compelling manner. So these are just a few things I just feel I need to bring up. In my final presentation, I will also give you some guidelines on how you can make the work, how you can also move the project further. Thank you very much for now.
So much, Prof. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof,
Thank you so
for
much,
the
sir.
comments and suggestions, well taken by the group, and I hope they will. So, congratulations, group.
Okay, please, thank you very much, Prof. And then on a final note, we have really taken care of all the contributions that have been made. Now, as regards ethical approval, we will have an in-house meeting. Since it's a secondary data set, we will have to understand whether we'll get approval from Wikipedia or perhaps we'll have to, or whichever source we have. But secondary data sets, I believe, has a different ethical approval procedure. But be that as it may, we will put all your inputs into consideration. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Group 1, for that excellent presentation. We look forward to the finished work. The finished published work. Finished and published work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Group 1. I also want to mention that we have in our midst Mary Mayungu from Kenya. Mary, can you say hello to us? We have Mary Mayungu from Kenya, one of the organizers of.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello everybody. This is Mary, and my sixth journey began in Nigeria, in a place called Ota in Ogun State.
Yes. Covenant
Thanks.
University.
Covenant University, yeah.
Yes.
So happy to join in and listen to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, at this moment, we would like to invite the second group, the group leader, and the member of the team to step forward. And we're going to be talking to us a topic: mapping Nigerians' place in the global prostate cancer knowledge graph, the computational wiki data network enhanced. So you're welcome. 15-minute presentation and then time for the Q&A session. All right.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from online and on-site. This is the team lead for Group 2, and we're here to present our project entitled Mapping Nigerians' Place in the Global Prostate Cancer Knowledge Graph, a computational wiki data analysis, network analysis. All right, this is a table of content. We'll talk about the background, the research rationale, the research gap, the problem statement, aim and objectives, data foundation, methodological workflow, network analysis plan, representation, benchmark auditing, and expected result, conclusion, and references. All right. There's a known literature already that prostate cancer remains the leading cancer burden among men, with late diagnosis and limited awareness worsening the outcome. The knowledge ecosystem, open knowledge platform now shape how people, see disease information is structured, search, reused, and represented. And it also affects their health seeking behavior from the kind of information they get online. The African Wikimedia studies show that geographic imbalances in participation and content with African countries are underrepresented. So our core premise is representation gaps in structured knowledge graph that can affect that can affect what becomes visible, reusable, and editable among African health realities. That's how people see health information, how they get it. Is that very information accurate or not accurate? So there's a known factor that prior Wikipedia research has documented geographic biases and equal participation. Most attention has been on Wikipedia. Wikipedia article context level, right? That's the surface content level of information, health information. They don't resolve whether similar imbalances exist inside Wikidata's machine readable entity network. So we want to find out if truly these imbalances exist. Where Nigeria appears or disappears against the prostate cancer knowledge graph. We want to find out where Nigeria appears, what the proportion of the representation of prostate cancer in Nigeria, the knowledge graph. And the gap statement, no disease-specific computational mapping has yet declared Nigeria's representation in the Wikidata prostate cancer graph. Problem statement, two issues motivate this study. One, representation uncertainty. The number of clinical trials and publications linked to prostate cancer appears small relative to the disease global research footprint. That means globally, the prevalence and research on prostate cancer is huge, but Nigeria still seems to be lagging behind in terms of representation of these things. So data equity concern, some stackable output appear mismatched to unrelated items. That's content or information that are not related to prostate cancer. Items such as works of fiction or films sharing labels within publication. Sparkle is a semantic, query language that is used to collect and retrieve data of different formats from a structured definite place where they are stored. For example, a database. Aims and objectives. Our aim is to computationally map the structure of prostate cancer knowledge graph on Wikidata and quantify Nigeria's representation within it. That means we want to see what is the proportion of the expression of prostate cancer in the knowledge graph globally. Our objective to construct and analyze the prostate cancer entity network on Wikidata. Two, to quantify Nigeria's representation in linked trial and publication. Then we benchmark against reference disease figures. Three, to generate prioritized recommendations for targeted Wikidata contribution. Next slide. Our foundation. We make it into 6. 2-hub network. As we get 1,124 relations looked at prostate cancer item. The second one is the treatment set. 99 relations covering genetic association, therapies, and symptoms. That's the information regarding these areas. We want to then the publication list. We make publication entities requiring representation and quality checks. Then additional is a semantic, query language that is used to query and retrieve. Next slide. Okay, the first is the Sparkle collection in the Wikidata. The next one will be entity typing, network analysis, representation, benchmarking, and quality audit. The final output will be to prioritize wiki items and statements to add, correct, or expand for stronger Nigerian focused representation. Next step is network analysis. How the wiki, this tells how the Wikidata graph will be examined. First, we're going to get graph model directed multi-graph computed in our programming language. Our programming language as data analysis tool to be able, when we extract the data from Sparkle, and then we'll now be able to use R to analyze and then get our knowledge graph to be able to map out, specifically prostate cancer research representation globally. The entity classes, we have to classify the genes, the drugs, that's content or information that are related to genes, the drug, symptoms, conditions, and tags are typed by connecting property semantics. Centrality, we will define a vector. Centrality will identify structurally important entities among those ones that are not important. That's information on content in the knowledge graph are not important to prostate cancer mapping. In the communities, living community detection will reveal clusters such as genetic association and treatment groups. Interpretation will work to interpret it. Network position will guide focused enrichment of prostate cancer research and information. Representation and benchmarking. This is to test whether Nigeria is visible in linked evidence around researches and publications that are domiciled in prostate cancer and their contribution to that prostate cancer prevalence globally. And then we ask an audit question. Are Nigeria Clinical Trials Publication institutions, authors, or disease burden realities visible within the Wikidata prostate cancer graph? That means if somebody goes to Wikidata and want to find out information around prostate cancer, will come up with the person get a good and usable information to carry on maybe for that research or do whatever they want to do. So we go by Wikidata linked evidence, clinical trials and publication associated with prostate cancer items. Then we benchmark sources will be used Global Nigerian Cancer Registry sources, WHO, Ministry of Health to compare those things that we're going to see. The audit outcome and quantifiable account of underrepresentation, overrepresentation, or data quality gaps will also be taken note of. Our expected results will be a map structure, a mapped prostate cancer Wikidata network showing central entities and community. That's important, research is important information that points to prostate cancer research in Nigeria. A benchmark audit of Nigeria's representation in linked trials and publications. An entity quality audit identifying mismatches and problematic errors. Problematic record. That means those information that are shared on Wikidata that may not help in portraying prostate cancer prevalence and treatment symptoms and all of that in Nigeria. A prioritized list of Wikidata items and statements to add, correct, or expand. A scientific manuscript targeted at a reputable Scopus in-depth journal. That's one of our expected results at the end of this research. The value of this work will move Wikidata improvement from general awareness to evidence-based targeted intervention. That means the result from what we're going to get from this research is going to help people who want to go into prostate cancer research to be able to have information they can depend on and use. Conclusion. This study will show where Nigeria is visible, missing, or misrepresented in global prostate cancer knowledge graph and translate those findings into Wikidata improvement priorities. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Gokulu, for that wonderful presentation. It was quite lucid and there's careful mind. So it's time for Q&A now. Comments, suggestions to improve the work. Let me start with Professor Davis. Professor.
Okay, thank you. Let me just quickly provide my very simple and honest review. I must commend them. Group 2, I must commend you. Mapping Nigeria's representation in the prostate cancer Wikidata knowledge graph. Very technical, and we can see that you've done quite a lot of work. You pulled real data, which gives you a real head start, even before you came for the institute. So that's very commendable. So you have done the hardest part of the work. You have live SPRQL extract in your hand, excuse me, before the institute even began, and then you've been able to do some additional work. The problem statements emerge from the data, not from the theory, first assumption anyway. Noticing during preliminary review, trial publication count, look thin relative to disease burden. So look at that, okay? Number 2, some SPRQL returned entities are mismatched to unrelated items. So then, yeah, you've done a lot. Let me quickly just now point your attention to a few things I believe you can look at to enhance the quality of your work. Your RStudio versus Python or NLP, LLM orientation, okay? Which of them are you using? Which of them are you concentrating on for your network analysis? RStudio or the NLP, LLM orientation, whichever one you feel you best enhance the quality of your work. Centrality metric need a rationale. your centrality metrics need a rationale, and the centrality specifically is fragile on directed multigraphs. So look at that. Again, the next one, Nigerian representation in quote, needs an operational definition before your analysis, not after. So when you are referring to Nigerian representation, you must define that before you begin your analysis. How will a clinical trial or publication be coded as Nigerian? Is it author affiliation? Is it trial site country? Is it funding source? These are questions you may need to look at, because it matters a lot for the benchmarking step and should be specified as a coding rule upfront. Okay? The same way Group 1 also specify their gender matching criteria. Then the scope is ambitious, but I must commend you. Then no mention of how the two problem threads, representation gap versus entity quality gap. Okay, look at that. And I think you'll be doing very well if you can just improve on some of this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you for those suggestions. I must just add that there's a gamut of research on prostate cancer disease in Nigeria, but whether they have that in the Wikidata is what you are trying to get at. So you must really work on your methodology to see that you focus on it. And I quite agree. Most of the prof, what he said, most of the clinical trials are often collaboration with external donor countries. Most time you have a partner abroad and they are working with us here to just look at the genetic variations. So where will you capture that? Is it the primary country where they, because most times what they do with us here is to look at what are the genetic variants. So where will you capture those ones? So those I quite agree that should be clearly specified your methodology. Quite impressive work. Professor Nathan, any comments?
Yeah, thank you. I think Professor Davies had really good advice on kind of methodology and approach. I took some time to think, this question that I think Professor Davies also raised, which was, there are, as I understand it, two core conceptual ideas here. One is that Wikipedia has the potential role to help inform people about this important issue. Not being Nigerian, I don't know a lot about public health in that context. I'm also not a public health person, but I've done a little bit of reading, and it's clear how important this issue is. So on one hand, there's the question of to what degree is Nigerian scientific contributions to clinical trials and efforts at treatments for prostate cancer, to what degree is that being included in the broader scientific knowledge base? And then I imagine there's also this other question, which I've read a little bit about, which is around stigma and public understanding and helping men and the people who care about them realize that they should get tested and they can get help. And where I was unclear is that usually we don't expect people to look up clinical trials when trying to understand a health issue in their own life. And I looked, for example, at the Wikipedia page. Project Pink Blue does have this really well-developed Wikipedia article. And that article doesn't actually link to any clinical trials because it's all about the awareness raising and the hospital programs. And so I think one question for you to think through, and this comes back to Professor Davies' comment about like the theoretical underpinnings is, are you focused on public awareness of this issue? In which case there might be sources in addition to clinical trials that you're thinking about, maybe Nigerian news sources and so forth, or you're really focusing on the underlying science, in which case, you have that issue you were discussing around where like studies get bundled into these larger meta-analyses, and working out how you are thinking about the relationship between a clinical trial and who it needs to hear it and how it wakes into Wikipedia would be helpful to further unpack. But I think this is, as Professor Davies has said, an extraordinary project, and it sounds like it could be very helpful to people. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bastian, any comments or suggestions?
Yeah, I think both Professor Davies and Nathan already gave a lot of details and ideas, and I think maybe two small things, thinking about the publications and the issues you've raised about the data quality of finding unrelated things that share a name. On a very practical level, I think you can filter the Wikidata things a bit more, because there's the instance of statement and just look for scholarly articles. So instead of just matching by name, you should be able to improve your data quality by matching specifically by just looking for scholarly articles. And the second thing is, if you want to look at the scientific literature and the gaps that are potentially there, you need a reference database. And I think the group just before you about the gender gap in Wikipedia mentioned using OpenAlex, and I think that can be a very rich resource as well for you to have a reference data set of which articles are there, so that you can compare and see which articles that, based on the OpenAlex data, should probably be in Wikipedia and cited in Wikipedia, is absent, so you can have a better idea of what the actual gaps are of scientific literature that exists but doesn't have an equivalent in Wikipedia. So that's just two very minor things of how I think you could improve your analysis, with hopefully not too much effort.
Thank you. Any question from colleagues? So if there is no other question, good job, group 2. Keep on becoming to work on it, and we're hoping to see the published work in the near future. Thank you very much for your efforts. Thank you very much. So, without wasting much time, we will invite the Group 3 fans to have a go at their work. Tell us
on course online.
Wow.
Nigerian political knowledge across Wikipedia and Wikidata, a computational audit and controlled RAG experiment. The Wikimedia ecosystem has remained an increasing public source of digital data for individuals, for search engines, and of course for AI in this age of artificial intelligence. And studies have shown that Wikimedia knowledge is unevenly represented across languages, across religions, across social groups, and political knowledge. There's a need to also see how this gap in unevenness is managed. So for us, we looked at our problem for this is basically we're looking at Nigeria. We're looking at it because in relation to Nigerian languages, and for us, we looked at the existence of cross-language gaps amongst in the wiki space. We look at the issues of weak sourcing and framing differences that exist and how this can lead to uncertain AI impact, considering the way the algorithm works. So basically, Nigerian political actors and institutions would have detailed information about them on the wiki space. You could see all of those, but when we want to compare that, that's especially in English. But we try to do that across other networks, could be. So for us, our aim as a group is to look at language inequality and how that exists between English and other selected Nigerian languages. So for our objectives, we consider how information about Nigerian political figures and institutions vary across languages on Wikimedia and Wikidata, as well as to determine whether these differences vary systematically by language, entity type, and salience, and check consistency between Wikipedia and Wikidata. And to that extent, we'll try to test whether identified Wikimedia asymmetries measurably influence multilingual knowledge-grounded AI outputs, and how that could derive indicators for continuous auditing. So from the three research questions, we raised three research objectives, rather, we raised three research questions, and we're asking how does information about Nigerian political figures and institutions vary across languages in Wikipedia, on Wikipedia and Wikidata. Then we're asking are observed differences systematically associated with language, political entity types, or social salience, and how consistent are Wikipedia and Wikidata representation of the same entities. And also ask if Wikimedia knowledge asymmetries produce measurable influences in multilingual AI outputs when equivalent political queries are tested under controlled retrieval conditions. So we looked at the literature, and the literature as a point of departure. We could see from the literature the existence of cultural imbalances within the Wikimedia ecosystem, however, specifically to Wikipedia and Wikidata. We also observe existing biases in terms of demography and issues of coverage and precision. We also look at some possibility of political distortion existing even on the wiki space, even if we've been informed, and rightly so, that there's room for editing. However, that also has its own consequences since it's open. Then we look at the gaps that exist in relation to provenance and how this has implication for model levels. So, method. Our study will be applying the comparative cross-sectional computational audit with a control relevant Wikipedia, Wikidata. We want to look at the coverage limit. Then, Then also we'll be looking at a retrieval augmented generation experiment test, whether the Wikimedia asymmetries found in the audit, which is the first flip there, how that will influence downstream and multilingual AI output. So,
come on, let's set the table here. Let's set the table. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself.
As for us as a group, we'll be sourcing our data. Next slide, please. We'll be sourcing our data from Wikidata, from Wikipedia, as well as from external benchmarks, understanding that Wikipedia depends on external sources, and also from AI experiment outcomes. And the instruments as seen on the slide will show an entity sampling and benchmark matrix, which will look at the roles, look at electoral relevance, looking at the Wikidata ID and the availability of language pages. Then we would be using OWL script and Sparkle API templates. So we'll be using that to see how we can do a reproducible extraction into of this. This data set from unstructured into structured audit checklist, and we'll frame analysis code book. So for us, we'll be, upon generation of the data, we'll be analyzing the data in 4 stages. However, it's important to point out that Arrow will be our principal environment throughout for extraction, for analysis, as well as for visualization. So we'll be we'll be analyzing the descriptive coverage, we'll be looking at the completeness and thoroughness levels, we'll be looking at the framing divergence, as well as the AI propagation test. So as we expect to have a reproducible framework from our study, and to that extent, as expected, we expect that we're going to show how we are able to arrive at the conclusion with which the study will be arriving at, and how that can be reproduced anywhere using the same procedure we would have employed. Then we also will be distinguishing the layers by separating Wikipedia language edition from Wikidata shared structured layers, and we will test to see the impact of this from AI and all of that. But suffice to say, very importantly, that we'll be targeting to publish our findings in high indexed peer-reviewed Scopus journal, contributing to computational social sciences, especially from the global south. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Professor Nathan. Also, Nathan, for the review sent yesterday. We've looked at it and we hope to implement it, or maybe when you make your contribution. But we are having, for us as a group, our thought is we are looking at the language inequality, and we seem to have a part of that where we see we may need some light, because it seems we were talking about we dealing with political figures. Yeah, whereas we cannot avoid political figures because we're looking at political knowledge. But our focus is in regards to how that affects, how that is done in terms of contribution in English and defined Nigerian languages. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gufuni, for excellent presentation as well. Very ambitious project.
Yeah.
So it's time for contributions, questions, suggestions to make the work better. For me, if I could start, I don't know, Gufuni, are you focusing on all the Nigerian language, the representation? Because Nigeria is a so is it all the languages? Will you be able to get data on all the just the 3 major languages that you need to know? And then secondly, the political institutions is generic. Are you focusing on the political parties or the electoral bodies? These are all political institutions. So your methodology must be specific so that whoever is looking at your work knows your area of focus. But it seems to be too broad. We will respond at the end of all the contributions. So the floor is open, Prof.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All
right. Yeah, thank you, Augustine. I share your it seems some of the things I wanted to raise, you've already mentioned them. Thank you for being able to look at that. Interestingly, this project actually relates to what I've been doing over the past 2 decades, I've been working in the area of political discourse. And I think it may interest the people to look at some of my publication online. Just Google my name, and then you are going to find some of my very interesting publication on political discourse over the years. In fact, we just completed a project funded by TED Fund, where we looked at the democratic culture in Nigeria, examining digital political discourse between 2015 and 2019. So very interesting findings that may be of help to you. You may also actually get in touch with me. I can send you the reports. Very, very wonderful, very ambitious project, as August himself mentioned. So let me quickly just jump into a few things I need to mention about the project. So yeah, ambitious projects. The framing is genuinely sophisticated. Distinguishing Wikipedia's per language edition from Wikidata single shared graph with language dependent labels is a real and often missed distinction. Most cross-language Wikimedia bias studies conflate the two. But it's very interesting that you are trying to separate them and then building an audit that treats them as structurally different objects rather than Wikipedia in different languages is a strong conceptual move. The control already component is the standard idea across all 3 groups so far. Comparing AI outputs under no retrieval, raw Wikimedia evidence, and harmonized evidence condition is a clean causal design that isolates whether an output difference comes from the underlying Wikimedia asymmetry itself versus the modern pre-existing multilingual bias. And so very interesting methodological approach that you have adopted. Your literature grounding is the deepest of the 3 submissions. You cited over 25 sources and some as recent as 2025, 2026. So that's a very good one, okay? Showing that you've tracked the very latest Wikidata bias literature. And I have some of them you have cited here. You are very correct in that regard. You explicitly built in human validation against machine measurement. A stratified sample of framing cases reviewed by competent readers of the relevant languages to separate genuine political framing from ordinary translation variants. Very good. This is a real methodological safeguard the other 2 groups don't really have. But let me just point out a little gaps. The Nigerian languages are literally unspecified. I think Augustine mentioned that. Okay, so which one are you looking at? Okay, you said that they purposely selected Nigerian languages. You have to be very specific. Okay, this need to be filled before the proposal is workable, and then the choice matters a lot. Are you looking at Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo Wikipedia editions? Because they differ enormously in article count and editor base size, which will directly shape what's even measurable. So look at that. Then this again, as we said, this is by far the most ambitious of the 3 projects. And I will say again, it may be too much. You are taking too many things together. You are looking at a full cross-lingual Wikipedia, Wikidata audits. Number 2, a framing analysis code book with human coders. Number 3, mixed effect regression modeling. And number 4, a control multi-condition RAG experiment requires actual API call across multiple languages. Each of these is enough to make up a whole project. Okay, so you have to really streamline what you are looking at. Then political bias you mentioned, okay, versus representation and coverage asymmetry. Okay, as what design actually measure? What are you measuring? The aim said that you will study, quantify excessive political bias. It's very specific, okay, so that you have to establish the presence, the completeness, the sourcing, the cross-project consistency. Okay, you must be able to measure that so that will cover the coverage gap, not just bias in the evaluative sense. You are still using bias in the evaluative sense. no concreteness, no specificity. So only the framing divergent component actually gets a bias properly. So I would suggest tighten your aim, distinguish between representation, coverage, and symmetry from framing bias as two separate constructs. That will help your work. The next one, no independent reference universe stated for the political entity sample. Unlike group 1 and 2, both of which specify an external benchmark, Open Alex, ORCID roster, global CAN registry feature, without an equivalent. So are you looking at INEC candidates, office holder records, National Assembly rosters, Nigerian political figures and institutions? You are here to define them. And again, Augustine mentioned that. Okay, so you need to be very careful with that and be very specific on your subject population, your research population rather. Okay, their RAG experiment needs a stated model. Okay, and provide a prompt protocol. If you are talking about equivalent multilingual queries to be run, that has not really specified anything. Which of the LLM are you talking about? How prompt will be held equivalent across languages? You must mention that. And I think as you take note of some of this observation, your work will come out very powerfully and will be very beneficial to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for that very extensive and elaborate suggestion for Group 3 members. We appreciate it. Professor Nathan, any suggestion or comments concerning the presentation by Group 3?
Yeah, I sent some notes, but I want to agree with Prof. Davies that this is a very ambitious project and it may be too ambitious. And so thinking about what you can achieve and narrowing or making sure you have the capacity to do it all, I think is good to think about. If you do go down the route of, I think breaking it into these multiple studies is helpful. And I'll share an example. I'm working on this project that I mentioned earlier that looks at women scientists and men scientists in the US who face harassment. And we thought it would take us just a few weeks to link the data, and it ended up taking us more than a year to create the underlying data set. And so sometimes you're like, we'll just connect all the data, and then you realize it takes more time. So one thing I like about this is that you have described this as multiple distinct phases or projects, and you've sequenced them in a way that you will still have something to publish and share at each of those stages. I think that's a very wise way of planning it out. Otherwise, you have something so big that you then never get it done. I did want to say that I also mentioned this project to Professor Tripodi, and she has a collaborator in the UK who has been building some software infrastructure for doing experiments where you improve Wikipedia and then look at the downstream impacts on generative AI. And Professor Tripodi said that if this team is interested, we can put you in touch with that team in the UK, and there may be opportunities to collaborate and share code as well. So I want to make that offer to this team as well, if that's a direction you pursue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Nathan. So can we have Professor Bastian?
Yeah, I don't think I have much to add after both Nathan's and Prof. Davies' very detailed feedback already, and I can just say I agree. I think it's a very big and ambitious project, and I think you have many open questions currently, and I think as you start trying to answer those, you will probably see where and how you need to narrow things down a bit to keep it at a scale that is answerable in with the resources and time you have at your hands to make this into a real research project from these very big ideas.
All right, thank you, Professor Bastian. Thank you to all our professors.
Thank you, sir.
From Professor Timothy Quinn, who started with the unspecified languages, And I think that is where every other professor could use the that same line. So I would want for the group to respond.
Okay, first I want to say a big thank you to Professor Ekwere, Professor Davies, Professor Nathan, and Professor Bastian. Your contribution are invaluable to us. We don't take them for granted. I would respond, and I believe other members of my team on site and online would also share their thoughts on the issue. First, on the issue of the language, after the initial review, we had looked at, yes, we are comparing with English because, like Professor Nathan and Bastian shared in their respective sessions, while teaching us, talked about how English has more contributions on the wiki ecosystem. So we are using English, which of course is the official language of Nigeria. Then we'll be using indigenous languages. We are also considering the three major indigenous languages, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. Whereas we have, like rightly observed by Professor Ekwere, the Nigerian state is multilingual, but we are depending on data from the wiki ecosystem. And then while we tried querying the ecosystem, we also discovered that maybe you can put a keyword on the wiki space and you find information in English, say 10,000, find in Igbo, say 2,000, find in Yoruba, maybe 1,500, Hausa, maybe 1,800. Then you come to maybe Ejo or Efik, you find 0. So whereas we are interested in trying to capture even these inequalities that exist within our own system, but we are dependent on the data available on the wiki space. So for now, we are focusing on English and the three major languages. English to include minority languages, but this will be dependent on their availability. At the moment, this will found for these three major languages and English. We will query further to be able to see for the other ethnic minorities. I think that also will be helpful. I hope that responds to it. Thank you, Professor Davies. Would be depending on you, we'll reach out to you just as we will do with other professors. We do not take your opinions for granted. Then, in terms of we need to specify. Yes, we're talking about when we're looking about political communication. So, of course, that comes from the political actors themselves. That comes from the political parties. That also flows from the political institutions like the electoral empire. So we'll be connecting with all of these and we'll relate all of these together. On the issues of measurement, yeah, indeed, I agree with you that our project is quite ambitious, and we may need to streamline or break them into segments. I had looked at it, even going through it again after Professor Nathan's review yesterday, and I imagine that we could even bring as much as 3 to 4 papers from just this study. So the team will go back and we'll have a review. And hopefully, and thank you even Professor Nathan for the offer for collaboration. That for us, that means the world, and we do not take it for granted. I believe other members of the team, online, on site, they want to make contributions. Please.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Professor Nathan, Sebastian, David, for your comments and contribution on the query. We, group 3, we are going to look out for, we are going to check what you told us and we're going to put it into practice. And my team leaders already said a whole lot about the language specification, which will be focusing on English, comparing English and the three major languages. And with this, we say thank you very much. And also thank you for the collaboration as well.
Yeah, our people online. Yes, Madam Osakolo and Gladys, any comments, please? Daniel, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. No comment from me, just to say thank you for the comment, Professors Bastian, Professors Nathan, Professors Ope David. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. We'll defect all the comments and ensure we get it up to speed. Thank you very much once again. Bye.
From Daniel, I want to thank professors for this wonderful corrections and the opportunity of how to be part of this huge project this year. We are grateful for your contributions, for your comments, and for the opportunities. Thank you very much. We are grateful.
Okay, just before, can we clap?
Yeah.
Group 3? That was an amazing, very detailed presentation. And that's also with the other groups. We are not excluding the other groups. They were amazing. So can we clap ourselves? Thank you. Thank you very much. My online participants, you are the boss. You said clap. That was quite an impactful session. Really, really thorough.
Thank you.
And please take a bow and take a seat. And just before
we take a better bow too.
Okay. Just before we call the key facilitators, who of course were physically present here to give their contributions holistically. We'd like to hear comments from reaction from the 3 weeks presentation.
Three, you did wonderfully well. Group 2, you were awesome. And Group 1, we were presented. So yes, speak. Thank you so much.
Actually, the 3 did exceptionally well with their presentation.
Woo!
All the other teams, like Group 1. And we look forward to the findings of the generated through this stage.
Let me see you. So, now group you all right, thank you very much. Sis Nigeria, our founders, our consolidated team, support team, our people facilitators. Thank you very much for making this a memorable one. I'm already making people. So I want to appreciate the Group 1, even though I didn't make their presentation cool. Right. I asked for mercy. And also I want to thank Group 3. Your presentation was wow. I didn't expect less, especially from Prof. Nagari. All right, to my group. Okay. I want to appreciate my group leader in absentia. That's Professor Dorothy. Thank you for your reviews. And thank you to the baby of the house and a very happy birthday.
Okay. If anybody wants to, you guys say anything. All right, that's fine. Okay. They always say save the best for the last. So I know that Dr. Bianca would not be happy if I say that, but there's something called bottom pots. Then there's something called the surface. So you pick so you pick from the top, you want to see what's happening there, and you want to go for that. That means Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 will be amazing. Please clap. Okay, so Dr. Udwa, we have our 2 key facilitators in the house who we are the ones who anchored from the beginning to the end, and they would like to see something or some contributions. Of course, he handled the project session. Dr. Udwa,
Thank you very much. I really want to thank all the teams. We've seen ourselves here from the very first day, and I've seen everybody work. When I mean everybody, I mean everybody work. We've left some people here and they've stayed here, asked after the session, just to get their data We've seen some people go extra miles just to keep their laptops, just to make sure that code are written and then the data is gotten. I want to appreciate everybody. And big group two, I really want to appreciate the language they use. It showed that they were actually doing a kind of proposal because you're writing in heuristics and you're speaking in it's not a complete work. Group one did that, group three did that, but group two actually did that very, very, very well. Yeah, so please thank you very much. And for all the corrections. And they can say it's not ethical to publishing. Yeah, they can have a time. It's not ethical to do a research without this work. We've come this far. Please, let's take it to the end. And I want to say something about group 4. I know that the spirit is down. I understand. Yes, but then let's not give up on ourselves. Let's not give up on ourselves. We can still push and get our work published out there. We have a very fantastic idea. I'm also part of that group, so I know the idea. And please, let's work together as a team and let's ensure that our work is published at the end of the day. And this goes to all things. Thank you very much. And God bless us.
You heard from your supervisor. For those who didn't present, that doesn't mean that you're not going to publish your work. You've not been excluded. No. We don't exclude it. We don't exclude it. So if you do what is necessary, your funding is still available. Of course, we are still going to have this Juliet speak further on that. So let me not delve into that.
Yeah.
So let's have our
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to see this day. Okay. I'm excited to see this day and to see how much God has helped us through this. Evidently, all the participants came empty. I was speaking with Mr. Juliet, and I cannot attribute the success of today to just the facilitator or just the curriculum that was drafted. If we have all the preparation that beautiful and you didn't come willing to learn and to develop all that we have for you, I'm not sure we'll have this success. So I want to say a big thank you to all the participants, the energy. Many of us will stay after our sessions have ended to do your work and to come up with these beautiful presentations. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for Group 1 for speaking on gender visibility. I want to believe that from this research, some policy will be formulated and enforced for broader coverage. And also thanks to Group 2, talking about the prostate cancer and how it has been discussed on the wiki space. And also to thank the 3 for speaking on the language inequality. And I've worked very closely with all of the groups, and I want to mention to all the group leaders for you to know that I am with you till the end of this. So please, at no point, let's just, of course, I'm in the group, so let's just continue to work together. And I've bragged on your behalf to Mrs. Juliet. Yes. No, I'm glad to add that publication will be out within 1 month to 2 months. Yes. Are we sure? Yes. 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 So thank you, and I'm sure it will be a reality. So, and for the groups where we've had collaboration offers, please let's not joke about the collaboration offers. By the end of the day, let's start working on how to contact with collaborators and keep the ball rolling. So I just want to speak a little on the research of Group 3, because I think there's need to have a shed more light to their research. First of all, they are talking about communication. So there's no emphasis on political parties. They don't have different political parties. They are only concerned on of political communications, how this communication gets communicated. So we have realized from the data set that most of the political communication, like projects and job advertisements from our constituency representative, all of these are usually represented in English. So even when we did the exploratory data analysis with them, initially we have considered some large number of minority languages, like the Ibibio, like the Obudu language, and we saw that we are even going too far. We are even going too far to look at them because even our three major languages in Nigeria are also marginalized. But we cannot say that by just a statement. We need to prove that with data. So that's why we are very. So we are not looking at political party, we are only looking at political discourse and how it was communicated. Data has shown like this English. We'll put that in writing, and I know it will also help give Wikipedia some insight on whatever moves through to ensure this inclusiveness. So thank you very much, the entire group. Thank you very much, Dr. Rhoda. Thank you very much, Mrs. Juliet. Thank you very much, the supporting team. I think this is the only time I can do that publicly. Thank you very much, my learning team, Dr. Udras. Thank you very much, Dr. Johanna. Thank you very much, my main G. Thank you very much, my back end lady, Alice. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the kitchen. People are doing great. I'm coming back to the cooking team. Thank you very much. Thank you to the media team. Thank you very much.
You know that we also can speak this now see you're getting a lot of claps, please. From different angles. That was amazing.
Thank you very much.
That was amazing. That's the future governor, executive governor.
Yeah. You go back to
And I hope you get me to be your lead person, introducing you whenever you're doing your speech.
Sure. You have one out.
You guys should know that. All right, that was amazing. So I will just call on Mrs. Juliet. Mrs. Juliet, over to you.
Okay. Professor Davis, please, just permit me to give a final, not like final remark. I mean, you're gonna give the final remark, but I'll just say something before you come in, if that's okay, please.
It's fine,
All
please go
right.
ahead. That's fine, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So good morning to you all. Good night again from New Zealand. It's almost 11 p.m. Yeah. But this program has been so impactful and so amazing that I'm willing to risk my sleep to be here with you because you all deserve it. I'll start by saying that I'm a strong believer of the Ubuntu philosophy, which is that I am because we are, which is one person cannot, in the case translating that to this program, one person cannot create the impact that this program has created. It's a combination of all our efforts. So we can see how our relationality has come into play here. And so that's something that I'm hoping that we can carry forward even after this institute. It's surprising that the program got bigger than we expected. So Austin and I, when we applied for the grant under 6 Caliber, we weren't looking at it to be as big as this. So based on that, I want to really thank Professor Chris Bill and this time around, for introducing us to the Wikimedia team. And so it was such a privilege, Professor Bastian and Nathan, to do this with you. So if there's anything that is really giving me massive joy through it all, even though I'm not there, well, I'm there I'm there. I'm ably represented. My representative is there. Can she raise a hand? Hi, Alice. Yeah, so Alice has been my eyes, my ears, everything. And we don't get to see, there are people who do a lot of work at the background, but you don't just get to see them in person. Yeah, so I really want to appreciate Alice publicly because Alice had to travel all the way from Lagos down to Uyo for this, just so she can represent me and make sure that this program is as excellent as it always has. I'm a great sucker for excellence. Like Austin, UD, those who have worked under me before, worked with me rather, know that if it's not going to be excellent, I don't want to be part of it. So it's just exciting to see how this has come. And massive thank you to the Wikimedia team. Thank you, Professor Bastian. Thank you, Professor Nathan. You made this happen. Yeah, there would have an impact, but probably not to this extent. So thank you so much. And based on that, and based on what we have seen so far from this presentation, I'm about to drop the icing on the cake. Drum rolls, everyone! All right. So we've seen how the projects have been, and we've seen that the projects all have potential in them. I'm happy to announce to you that as part of the funding from the Wikimedia Research Grant, there is grant available to fund your project further up to the point of publication. So whatever that is going to look like, if it's getting access to certain codes or getting beyond paywalls or whatever that is going to look like, there is some money set aside for this purpose from the Wikimedia Fund that we got. So please take your research project seriously. Take this project seriously. You've seen how invested everyone has been. We first of all had, so just to let Professor Bastian and Nathan know, we originally had 5 projects, all right? 5 projects. And I'll give you the backstory behind the other 2 that you didn't get to see. One of the projects, unfortunately, the participants were not really brought up to speed. I think they sort of misunderstood because most of them were online participants, and I don't really know what happened anyway, but the whole point of it is that the project did not meet the minimum requirement, which was use Wikimedia data, use computational techniques. So the project was totally out of scope, and so we did not consider it appropriate at that time to send in for a review because there was really nothing to review in the light of the context to which we are doing this project. And then for the last group, they call themselves the A group or the A game group. Is that the A game group? Those group members, I never saw their application. They were not part of the applicants for this project, all right? But somehow, there was an amazing project that was submitted by members of the organizing team, whom you're seeing here, the logistics team, those of them who've been part of the lectures, who've attended your sessions. They felt like we can do something, and they came together and put up a project, actually. Well, I told them, okay, this is all good, but as far as we could get, what we did was we first of all gave all these projects to a local reviewer, all right, a very reputable, well-grounded researcher who looked at all 5 groups first of all, and so to our very best, we provided initial feedback to all the groups, irrespective of how the project was, and irrespective of the fact that some of the participants, especially those from the A game group, did not register for this program. But regardless, they got some feedback, and we're still looking forward to them continuing with that project. And I believe that we can still support them if it gets to the point of publication. Yeah. I know that's a surprise for them. I told them that was as far as it could get, that they were not going to get anything beyond having the local feedback. Anyway, so yeah, so please move on with that. All 5 groups, keep on with it, all right? Move on with it. So yeah, we're really looking forward to doing this. You've gotten all the resources you can get, all right? You've heard Professor Nathan tell you that there's an engineer somewhere interested in working with you. That's group one, right? With your project. Please take advantage of that opportunity. I can't overemphasize how you should seize opportunities when they come. So please take advantage of that. All right. I'm sure Professor Nathan is going to send the contacts later on. Yeah, when that comes in. All right. Okay. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I really wanted to acknowledge the fact that 6 doesn't end here. All right. Or the support, all that you've enjoyed, the logistics, the food. Oh my goodness, Professor Nathan and Bastian, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. You don't want to know what. You don't want to know what that funding did for them. They're like, they don't want to go home. They are refusing to go home. And we're like, go home. It's over.
6th to December. 6th to December.
Well, there's no fun to take you until December. So yes, please, just keep on working with your project team, and we're really eagerly looking forward to the outputs that will come out of this. And like we said, there are funds graciously available to support you to the end. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Juliet. Thank you for that wonderful remark. Thank you.
All right, Prof.
Okay, thank you. I just want to add to what Juliet and other colleagues have said. It's been a wonderful experience working together with this amazing team. I just have these very brief closing remarks that I've been asked to give. So just to add to what others have said, anyway, it's been a wonderful experience. Distinguished founders and partners, esteemed members of the organizing committee, our tireless facilitators, our ever-dependable backroom staff, our brilliant participants, good day and welcome to the close of a truly remarkable journey. There is a saying among us that the drum we have danced to together is not one we forget in a hurry. Today, as 6 Nigeria 2026 draws to a close here in New York, I do not believe any of us will forget this rhythm. The rhythm of cold piling at midnight. Somebody referred to that sometimes they will step back, they don't want to go, they have to work almost all night, of ideas colliding and combining in the classroom or in that lecture hall there, of a continent data finally being asked the question it has waited so long to answer. Over these 2 weeks, we did not simply attend lectures, we built. We took the abstraction of computational social science, the web scrapings, architecture, natural language processing, large language models, knowledge graphs, machine learning for social insight, quantitative narrative analysis, and we turned them into instruments for asking Nigeria questions in Nigeria's voice, with Nigerian hands on the keyboard. You are right, as social scientists broadly conceived and data sciences broadly conceived, and you are living as something more integrated than either label alone. Computational thinkers equipped to interrogate the digital structure that increasingly govern what the world knows and what the world believes it knows about us. I congratulate you all very much. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your determination. Of course, Julius has, given that generous, appreciation to our founders, to Wikipedia. Nathan, we appreciate all that you've done, and for Bastian. For the attendees, remember you are just the best few among the several applicants. I was part of the process that selected you, and we are happy you have demonstrated a sense of gratitude and responsibility during the course of this Summer Institute. I believe you have gained something that will turn your lives and careers around. Do not leave behind all that you have gained during this Summer Institute. Explore further, dream bigger, pursue harder. You've been told that you have some money that are waiting for you, lying there, waiting for you to grab and pursue your project till consummation. 3 projects, 1 conviction. Nowhere was this more evident than in the 3 flagship group projects that anchor our practicum. One team turned its computational lens on the gender visibility of Nigerian women scientists on Wikipedia, asking, with rigor and with heart, whose brilliance the digital record chooses to remember. Another, map Nigerian place within the global prostate cancer knowledge graph on Wikidata, exposing how even our health burden can be rendered invisible in the architecture that increasingly inform global research and AI. The third project turned to the cross-linguistic inequality buried within Wikipedia and Wikidata, and asked the boldest question of all: when the machines learn from a Wikimedia record that already forgets us, do they inherit that forgetting? Three different diseases of representation. One shared diagnosis that a continent absent from the data is a continent absent from the answer. And one shared prescription with which each of you now carries. That absence is not inevitable. It is correctable by people exactly like you, with exactly the skill you have just spent this into sharpening. Now, in summary, this into delivered a rigorous, hands-on curriculum spanning data structures, API access, web scraping, NLP, LLMs, feature engineering, and machine learning, a distinguished roster of guest speakers, bringing academia, industry, and government a culture of open, reproducible scholarship that mirrors the very best of the global computational social science community. And three participant-led research projects that already stand as credible contributions to the knowledge of African representation in digital knowledge system, with a clear practical path toward peer-reviewed publication. Beyond the technical, we build something less easily measurable but no less real, a community of Nigerian communal social scientists who now know one another. As somebody mentioned that, we have built a family now, plus one another, and we can call one another for years to come. Gratitude in our tradition is never a formality. I wish that Nathan and Boston, they are in Nigeria. Every day you're going to be hearing thank you. Different way. It's our culture. Don't mind. That's our culture. So it's never a formality. No, it's a debt, joyfully old and gladly paid to our founders and partners whose belief in this vision made every laptop, every lecture, every seminar, every workshop, every late night data proof possible. We thank you. Nigerian Computer Social Science community stands on the foundation you built, and we look forward with confidence and with hope to your continued support as we carry this work forward. To our amazing and indefatigable organizing committee who turned a bold idea into a functioning institute. Thank you for the months of quiet, unglamorous labor that no party ever sees, but every party benefits from now. To our facilitators who translated complexity into clarity and patience into competence. You did not merely teach school, you taught confidence. To our backroom staff, logistics, technical support, hospitality. The truth is simple. An institute is remembered for its ideas, but it survives on your unseen world. We see you, we thank you. And to our participants, you are right curious and you are living capable. You are the reason of all of this existed in the first place. The charge. There's a popular Indian African dictum. We borrow this word only for a while. And what we do with it, with our borrowed time, is what remains after us. Do not let what you have gained end here in New York. Take your spatial queries, your embedding, your topic model, your knowledge graph, your quantitative narrative analysis back to your university, to your ministry, to your newsroom, to your startup, to your churches and your community, anywhere you are, anywhere you have been functioning. Use them to close the gaps you have now learned to see. Use them to build careers that outlast this institute and to build a Nigeria and an Africa whose digital record finally matches its brilliance. The knowledge graph of the future will either include us as full participants or continue to render us as a footnote, but we are not going to allow that. You now choose to decide which it will be. We must be full participants, we must be active participants within that big map. As we close this chapter in New York, let us carry forward not just what we learned, but who we became while learning it. Move forward in brighter vision, with more confidence. Move forward with resilience. Move forward to excel. The work of representation is far from finished, but today, in this room, This in this room, it is undeniable better resource than it was 2 weeks ago. Congratulations, SICK Nigeria 2020. The floor is not closing. It is only opening wider. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro.
That was a thorough closing remark. Yeah, said it all. And I'm so glad because when we started, we were uncertain on how this journey was going to look like. But right now, we are much more than certain. Our participants are not just satisfied, they are well charged, energetic. Like you said, this is not a closing floor. This is actually an opening for us to do more. We thank you, our sponsors and our funders, for the bigger opportunities that have actually been opened up. And I'm sure that our participants will do justice to that, because if you stop, you don't learn. But if you learn, you grow and you get bigger. And you remember in my opening speech on the first day, I encouraged all participants to come in empty. And I'm sure that they were very much empty because they have learned and they are still empty, but at least there's something substantial in their bottles and they are still fired for more. So we would have loved to stay longer, but unfortunately, we can't stay longer. But then in our hearts and in our different groups and in all the connections that we've established, one thing I've come to understand